change with no regard for human life. Curry, way down top. Bang! Bang! Oh, what a shot from Curry! He's got it. Big finish. Big Carter with a brilliant.
What up, everybody? Welcome back to On the Break. I'm done with the intro thing. I'm just upset. And I'm just going to bitch for the whole show. I'm not even going to introduce Josh here. I'm just going to bitch. That's just what I feel like doing. Like, sports are never coming back. Nothing's ever coming back. This is over. It's all upset.
You didn't prep me for that, man. I'm not going to be able to hold it together.
It's okay.
What's up, dude?
Not much, man. Kyle, I think, will be in here shortly. I think he's on his way. But yeah, dude, I don't know. I'm dejected. I feel sad that I just, even though there's all this talk about NBA coming here in the next couple of weeks and bubbles and rejection bubbles and all this, none of it is relevant. Like, the Bucks just right before we came on the air shut down their whole entire facility for the next week, and just things like that are going to continue to unravel here. And I'm so dejected. I'm sad by it,
dude. Yeah, and ultimately they didn't do that for no reason. That wasn't just like, we feel like doing this. It was they got back test results, and they're looking at the test results going, and it doesn't say this, but I'm sure they're going, we have 5 players that have COVID or that tested positive. We're shutting it down. They didn't release any of the test results information, but you know that was multiple people that tested positive.
Had to have been.
Yeah, there's no way that it's not, right?
It's been really funny how they've
multiple people are Giannis.
True, but I mean, it's been kind of funny how they've been like weirdly like loose with medical rules around a lot of this. Like, remember when we first kind of started and it was like, okay, well, Rudy Gobert got it, and then Donovan Mitchell got it, and we kind of like were releasing all the names, and then all of a sudden that kind of stopped, and then like names kind of started leaking out again, and now it's kind of like, well, they're doing all their initial testing, and I don't remember. I'm going to look it up here just a second, but the number of actual positive cases they had from their initial round of testing, like the pool versus how many positive tests they had. I'll look that up in just a second, but I mean, they're getting through all this testing and they're realizing like, I don't know. I think we got to take a step back and look at this. And we've been afraid of that this whole time. We really have. You and I couldn't have been more negative about it.
Yeah, dude. And it's been crazy. It's been higher than the average populace, or than the populace of these towns that are getting blown up. It was like 25 out of 250 or something like that. 10%.
Wasn't terrible, right?
Well, I mean, that's higher than the normal populace.
Yeah, but I mean, if you just think about like, I mean, the fact that guys live all around the country, that you've got like, these are people that have traveled, and like they travel more than the average person does, and all that kind of stuff, all that plays in. Like, I would have kind of thought more than that, to be real honest with you.
Yeah, I guess I can give you that. And the other thing that I actually just thought of was they're testing asymptomatic people too. Mm-hmm. So they're getting asymptomatic positives, which the rest of the populace isn't. So I guess that makes sense.
Yeah, and I mean, again, like, it's however you want to look at that. It seems like people are just taking all the information out there that's been out there and just kind of thrown a lot out the window. But I've seen like I've seen a lot of like Woj tweets come across the wire. Like this was just a couple days ago on the 2nd, but he had said that in tests of 344 players between June 24th and 29th, 9 more players have tested positive for the coronavirus. But like, that doesn't really tell us like how many originally had tested positive and that kind of thing, So right. Like, I feel like there's got to be a more consolidated place to look at this, but it's a little bit, it feels like a little bit cloudy on purpose to me, I guess.
Yeah, they're not going to get, so there's I don't know how we were getting names of people, to be honest with you, because it runs in violation of HIPAA.
Right.
That's not just breaking news, or not just like announcing the person in front of it being announced at the draft or anything like that. Those are legal obligations to keep a patient's medical stuff private. So I don't know how we were getting names originally.
Sure. But I'll counter that with, I mean, how many times do we hear about a guy like as soon as he goes down, torn Achilles, out for the season, done. I mean, it's the same thing.
That's a good point. I don't know how that is affected.
I'm not sure like what like what they give up to kind of for that privacy information. That is not a topic that anybody gives a shit about. I'll just tell you that right now. So we should just move on with this conversation.
That's fair. That's fair. I'm on my high horse, man. I don't think the laws are being followed.
I'm with you. Don't get me wrong. Like, I want to know a lot about the medical implications of what happens in the NBA with information, but I don't know that people are really that interested. Maybe they are. I don't know. If they are, let us know, and we'll start a new show, or we'll do episodes and episodes devoted to it.
Right. So let me segue. The reason why I said that was because you can't get that type of information unless you're breaking the law. Mm-hmm. Maybe they can do it with like 9 more people have been tested positive. We can't give you any names, but HIPAA restricts them from being able to give you names. So I don't know how we originally got names without somebody just blatantly breaking the law and risking losing their medical profession or medical. What is it? A degree? It's not a degree. Yeah.
Certifications is what you're looking for.
Right. Exactly. Like they're gonna rip your PA or your MD from you. They can't do that.
Awesome. That'd be awesome if they could do that.
Right.
We probably
I don't know how we were getting those names originally.
In society, we'd probably be in a lot better spot if they could do that, to be honest with you. But
yeah,
we won't get into societal woes as much today as we did last episode. I don't know. Maybe we will. Who the hell knows?
All around, society could be made a lot better by just people reaping their consequences for the actions that they do. But I digress.
Amazing. It's almost like I swear by that kind of thing whenever I evaluate talent players and stuff like that. Like, you've got to be willing to own up to your shit,
right.
And that a lot of that's going on right now. But yeah, I just feel like it's really going to start taking some major pieces to fall. I really so my gut feeling at this point, honestly, like really and truly, is that they're going to at least get started doing this. I don't think anything's going to stop them from getting started, but I don't think they're going to finish it.
Yeah, I can't imagine it. And they asked Giannis, will this championship have an asterisk on it? And he said, no, it's going to be the hardest championship to win. And at first I was like, it kind of depends, but
it's a fair point though.
Are we going to and I say this with, we will knock the Lakers for if they go completely healthy throughout the entire one and then beat a Giannis-less Bucks. We will knock that championship and put an asterisk on it and say that LeBron didn't actually earn it. But at the end of the day, does that just mean that the Lakers did a better job of staying committed to the entire process throughout all of the playoffs in their nightlife, not only in their normal practices and things like that, but they went home, went to bed, and stayed isolated so that they could win, right? So maybe Giannis is right. Maybe this is going to mean more than a lot of other championships because you're not only having to put it in between the lines, but you have to put it in everywhere. And you're having to commit to it 24/7.
So are you saying that I just want to make sure I understand. So are you saying they followed what they were supposed to, stayed focused to the game, stayed committed to whatever the team drew up for them to do on their own, or however they handled that? I'm sure that there's a way that every team handled that a little bit differently, but overall, I can't imagine that if guys weren't wanting things to work out on and stuff Tom Brady's having 7-on-7 games, for God's sakes, in Florida. So these guys are able to get that information that they need that they should try to work on in the meantime. Most guys do have the facilities, or at least the way to access some of that stuff no matter what. And so in your premise, are you saying that they did all that they were supposed to do on the court and staying away quarantine, basically? Is that kind of where your head's at?
Yeah, exactly. What we've done is we've taken the NBA where it's show up to practice and show up. For Allen Iverson, it's not even that. Show up to practice and show up to the games and perform there. I like that eye roll right there. And perform at the games, and that's how you win championships, right? You put in work, but it's really, if you're Kobe Bryant, it's from 3 to noon. If you're everybody else, it's from 7 to noon. But other than that, you're fine. Now it's you have to be 24/7 committed to making sure that you stay healthy. Because if you get sick and you show up for practice and you get 2 other people sick, you have no chances of or even test positive. They may not even be sick, but they're not going to let asymptomatic people that test positive play.
Yeah.
What it is it's getting the entire 15-person roster to not only buy into what's happening between the lines and what's happening in practice, but to buy in for 24 hours, 7 days a week of their entire life. They have to buy in 100%. That might mean dude, LeBron might not be able to be around his kids.
Yeah.
Like these guys might not be able to be around their families.
Not Gordon Hayward. He said he's out of there when that kid's born.
Yeah.
Lucky me, right?
Which I don't blame him. I'd probably do the same thing.
Yeah, me too. But lucky me once again.
We'll see.
But so yeah, no, I'm with you. I just wonder how specific that is to them. Like what would have been really fascinating is if anyone would have had the foresight to do some filming of this stuff. Like, and maybe they did. Like maybe players would be able to put some stuff together, some footage and stuff together of them playing. Like that'd be a really good opportunity to see, like, even if you had like a Hard Knocks type situation where you followed, obviously you can't do that because it's not that scripted, but like,
sure,
where you had that kind of look at what the team did to stay in shape to all the way to, like, this would be after the completion of a championship. So say we're the Lakers or the Bucks or whoever, whatever team, right? You get to the end and you look at it as a retrospective. I bet that would be awesome to say, we did this. This is how we worked it. This is why it worked. Because like, that's the part that nobody seems to want to talk about, is the fact that majority of these teams haven't been around each other for months. And I just think that's going to play a part here somewhere.
Definitely. I agree, and I can't imagine the NBA not coming in with a camera crew and watching every single one of these teams like a hawk.
Yeah, starting like right now kind of thing. Like
right, exactly. Dude, could you imagine if the Orlando Magic was the only team that was able to stay healthy and won a championship? Imagine that 30 for 30, bro.
You are really on this Magic situation. You got to tell me more about that. What
do you mean?
You've mentioned the Magic being that team so many times in the last like month. I can't even begin to tell you how many times we've discussed like the Magic making a run here.
I think that they have. So I'm big on their defense. They play excellent defense, but they're just not a pretty team.
No, they don't have any offense.
Yeah, exactly. So they're not a pretty team. So
your premise is that defenses are going to win a championship this year anyway, right? Like that.
No, I was mostly saying those guys have as good a chance as anybody else if LeBron goes down or if Kawhi goes down. If like all these players get, and if Orlando's the only team that's going to be, it's going to be come down to what team stays the healthiest within its core.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
right.
And that's such a like. Then why are we doing this? Like that seems so ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of like it. It just adds extra stuff to it. It's like it's real life Hunger Games.
Yeah, exactly. It's truly survival of the fittest.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm not even about that movie or those books, but that's what this feels like.
Yeah, it really is. That's insane to me. I'm as shocked as I am appalled by it. I'll tell you that much. But at the same time, man, like I get it. I think we still. Does anybody really think it's going to happen? I can't wait to see what Kyle thinks when he gets here, because I really want to know. I feel like you and I are kind of on the same page. I would really love to talk to someone who really thinks this is actually going to happen. Yeah,
Does he think it's going to happen?
No, I don't know. I'm not sure. I have no idea.
Okay. We need to have a guest. If he doesn't think it's going to happen, we need to have a guest. We need to have somebody that's straight out of the trailer park that doesn't think that it's real, like excited about.
Okay, that's not what I was saying.
Yeah, sorry, my bad.
No, I was more saying, I'm like, I want to know, like, from the, I haven't seen a lot of people that feel like you and I do about this stuff on Twitter, but I also haven't seen a lot of people that are overly encouraged that this is going to happen. And it's like, so this is where the thing that you and I talked about last week comes into play, where it's like, I usually trust Woj with everything, but I also know that Woj has a very vested interest in this potentially happening and the follows and the, he works for ESPN and obviously that's money too. And there's like I don't know whether I could trust Woj right now or not.
I hate Woj, dude. I hate him so much. We've gone over this before, right?
No, we have.
I freaking hate Woj.
Okay, say more.
Dude, so first off, he ruins the NBA draft night every single year. What's your point of that? What is he trying to do?
It's hilarious.
That's so stupid.
Stay off Twitter, dude.
Also, but
I know. No, I'm with you. It's a lot of. It's not as fun on draft night.
I don't
for sure.
What does that benefit him? I guess the fact that we're talking about him right now.
Exactly. It's that he's one of the biggest names in sports as far as reporting goes, and like name the football guy. Yeah,
Schefter.
I guess Schefter, but
so stupid. But like, what's he doing to get into every single person's group? Like, how many blowies has he given over the past 10 years? I don't trust what he's doing. I do like that the only person that he doesn't have anything on is LeBron, and that he hates his guts for it.
Dude, it's always baffled me that Windhorse is the LeBron guy. That's always baffled me. Brian Windhorse stinks.
Are they? Where's Windhorse from?
I think
Are they both from Cleveland or something?
I think that's why. But like, I've never liked that guy. I've just never really. I don't know what it is about him because he's actually pretty interesting too.
There are very few sports reporters that I actually like.
That's a good
if it
point.
comes down to it.
Same. No, I've built podcasts off of it. I know.
Yeah, fair. Because there are very few sports reporters that don't sensationalize everything.
That's very true.
That actually give you analytical breakdowns that don't seem to be sensationalized. I would say that Zach Lowe is at the top of my list for people that actually know what they're talking about and don't sensationalize things. But at the same time, if you listen to his podcast, it's like, oh my God, this dude is so boring. I can't stand how he talks.
I know. It's tough to listen to. He's got to have a good guest for me.
Yeah, but he knows more about basketball than
anybody.
Yeah. And so that's hard. I just want I really love Charles Barkley. I think he knows what he's talking about. I love Shaq. EJ, I love that whole show.
Yeah.
EJ, Kenny, Shaq, and Charles. And I think they all know what they're talking about because they all were playing in the game. I don't think that they're X's and O's guys. Kenny can be sometimes, but I think that obviously Zach Lowe hasn't beat. I don't know how we got on this, but back to my Woj hating. He's just a sensationalized dude, right?
I mean, at this point, it's a little. I mean, like he kind of came up. So I used to live in the whole message boards, like the NBA rumors message boards, and on Yahoo Sports all the time. Like everybody kind of did back in, 10 years ago or whatever. Like I was in that crap all the time, and typically, like that's kind of where Woj got his start is at Yahoo, and like it was. Typically, he just kind of became one of those more and more reliable guys. People seem to trust him the way he puts out information. He doesn't. Obviously, he doesn't put it out until the team really wants him to put it out. But he's.
Is that the case though?
Well, at least it used to be. I don't know how much it is anymore. But I know that whenever he went to ESPN, that's why he started the whole. I'm hearing that the Pelicans are interested in Zion Williamson type thing versus. The Pelicans will take Zion Williamson at number 1.
Yeah, that was backlash from I think the commish actually got mad at him.
Well, it was that, and he joined ESPN that year, and they were like, be easy. And that was his way around it or whatever. It's stupid, but it is what it is. But at the end of the day, though, he's always the best connected. Him and Shams. I like Shams a lot.
I like Shams. Shams came out of nowhere, too.
Well, he was kind of the thrown heir to Woj when he left Yahoo Sports. So that kind of is where that, and I think that Woj he kind of feeds him maybe some of the secondary stuff that people don't care about as much because Shams doesn't always have like the big heavy hitting stuff. But
Shams broke something this year that was like that.
Oh, he breaks big things every now and then, and he's gotten bigger and bigger as time's gone on. Yeah. But he's not specifically that, but a lot of his stuff is like lower level things that we would care about, but not necessarily every single NBA fan. You know?
Yeah.
So it's pretty interesting. Where are you at on Bill Simmons these days?
I think he's gotten worse.
I think he's gotten very much worse.
Prime Bill Simmons was when he was writing for The Ringer for me.
You mean whenever he was for Grantland or for The Ringer?
Grantland, excuse me. Yeah, whenever he was writing for Grantland, that was prime Bill Simmons, and that was the best sports reporting because Zach Lowe worked for him actually.
Right.
Grantland was the best sports reporting that I've ever seen ever. They didn't care to sensationalize things like Bill Simmons did, but it was less about what wasn't happening, but bringing your attention to what was happening and the possible implications and ripples from it.
Mm-hmm. And the historical aspect too, right?
Yeah, the historical aspect. And that's what made Bill Simmons great for me was his ability to show you something and then show you how it has never happened historically. And also his writing style is just fantastic. But that was prime sports reporting. I don't think we've seen any sports reporting that has been even close to Grantland since then for me.
The Ringer was when it started and whenever he really took some of those ideals and pushed them in the right direction that he was at odds with ESPN so often, but he's a creative genius in a lot of ways. He just thinks that he's a better creator than he is, if that makes any sense. Like, I think he's good at identifying talent, but the talent like all those MLB shows and NBA shows, NFL shows, like people like Cousin Sal and all those people. Dude, those people stink to me. I don't like any of those people. And like, I've gotten to where he's really not even standable for me. And I've had this conversation with Kyle a lot. Like, I've always liked Simmons a lot, but I really do fall off on him whenever we're not in basketball season, because it's a lot of just like, I don't really give a shit about what he thinks about, Happy Gilmore or whatever. I really don't. Sure. That's not really what I go to him for. You know what I mean?
Yeah, Simmons fell off for me whenever he started talking about how great the Fast and Furious movies were. I was like, this is not a train that I can get on. These movies suck.
Yeah, dude, that's definitely a breaking point. But like, he used to have really good interviews. Like the stuff that he did with KD was really good, really insightful, I thought, very honest. He has times where he's good at what he does because he's always been good at what he does. He has a problem with not staying in his lane, and he is very much someone that needs to stay in his lane. And boy, have we seen that recently with him trying to talk about some of the social issues out there.
Yeah, I haven't paid much attention to that.
Good, because it's ugly. It has not been good. Yeah, him and Russillo really.
I like Russillo.
I like Russillo too, but I only really like Russillo more than anything else during like football season.
Yeah,
Chris Long, and I don't know. I've always liked Russillo a lot. I really hasn't changed for me. I just don't even really get to his show that often. I feel like I'm not getting to any sports shows at all though right now with all this going on.
Dude, I tend to like reporters that report on sports that I don't know anything about. The higher my level of sports knowledge of that particular sport, the less I like any given it's a commentator, I guess.
Dude, and also like, and just in general, like the longer that I've done this podcasting stuff, and like it's forced us to really like pay attention to like the pulse of the league and always what's going on and all that, and it just like it's really exposed me to some of the greed and some of the like bullshit that happens, and it's just disgusted me to the point where I'm like, I don't even know if I like watching this anymore. I mean, I do, but like because I love basketball, but you know what I mean. It's just sometimes you're like, oh my god,
I feel you.
It's just terrible.
Yeah, and it's really like, it's just like any other. It's just like getting on Facebook and seeing your crazy uncle or whatever posting right wing or left wing stuff like crazy. You have to go out and dig for your stuff. Like that the Jordan documentary was the best documentary I think I've ever seen, but it was so heavily biased towards making Jordan look like the greatest that he ever was, and probably making him look bigger than he actually did in real life. Like he was huge, but he looked huge in that show, and you just have to take that stuff with a grain of salt and know, regardless of what you're looking at, everything is biased. Regardless of whether you're listening to me or you, we have biases too.
Yep, absolutely. I have a bias I guess a precedent of being someone who's very negative towards all of this shit. And that's something that I value a lot because it grounds the other side of it a lot.
Yeah, and I hate Kevin Durant.
You do what?
I hate Kevin Durant.
Right. I know. It's great.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, speaking of that, have you had a chance to get to the book about him yet by Ethan Strauss?
I haven't even heard of it.
Oh, no, I told you about it a little while back. It's called The Victory Machine. It's about the whole building in the last year of Golden State with KD and everything.
Let me no, dude, I haven't gotten to. I must have missed it or it must have slipped my brain, so my bad.
Bro, you need to listen to the audiobook of it though.
Okay.
Because he does the voices. And it would be like you, me, or Kyle reporting on that team and then doing the Kevin Durant voice. And dialect style. Not good.
I feel like that would
not good.
I feel like that'd be tough.
It's a little tough. You need to listen to it. It's hilarious. It's not like outwardly offensive or anything like that, but it's like maybe you shouldn't have done that. But I could see also how it wouldn't necessarily come alive. So I don't know.
Yeah, for sure.
It's Ethan Sherwood Strauss, though. It's a good book.
I'll check it out. I'm looking at it right now.
I liked it. I liked it a lot. It was a quick read. It really was. Or I guess listen in this case. So I knew that. I think I left it at something like, well, let me read the book and I'll let you know if you should waste your time with it or not. I think so. I think you wasted some time on it.
Yeah, definitely. I don't have as much drive in town anymore.
Yeah, well, me neither. But it'll definitely it'll solidify some of your positions on Kevin Durant. That's for sure. So that's great news for you.
I think anybody that reports on Kevin Durant will solidify my positions.
a very good point.
There's no good things about that guy.
It's a fantastic point. Would you have him in the top players of all time, like 12?
Yeah, I did have him pretty high.
Well, I had him in number 10. So I mean, I know you didn't have him number 10.
No, I had Curry number 10, I think.
Right. I mean, top 10 is what I meant. But
yeah, I had Curry number 10, but no, Kevin Durant was maybe 15 for me, maybe 14 for me.
Gotcha. But yeah, man, I would definitely. We got way tangented there, but I would definitely encourage someone that really thinks this is going to happen to reach out to us, because I really want to talk to him, because I don't really, based on like how this thing has progressed and the numbers and the way things are looking and the fact that we're holding this in Orlando and all this, I just don't see it. I really don't. And I wish this is the part where it's hard, because I am a pessimist when it comes to this crap, but like, I just don't see it. I really don't.
Yeah, I feel that. That's where I'm at too. I want to be optimistic as much as possible, and I try to just stay away from it, just because I think that we're slowly gonna just get the ball rolling where we see more and more cases, and it's just gonna get called off. But I hope not, man.
I hope not either. I think it's a good opportunity. It'd be a really cool thing, dude. The concept of an alternate bubble for the 8 teams that are not going to Orlando is insulting to those teams. It's a slap in the face to those teams.
Yeah, I don't understand why they would do that, really.
How furious would you be if your team was playing in that bottom 8? Would you even watch?
What? Yeah, I'd watch because, well, I think that each team, save the Cavs. Well, no, the Cavs have Colin Sexton to be excited about. I think that each team has something to be excited about, and you never know what a player is going to look like whenever they come back from a 3-month hiatus, right?
Sure.
So I would probably still watch, but I'm probably not the average basketball fan.
I know that to be true. That might have been the least successful attempt to convince me of something that you've ever given me. I mean, like, you didn't even really sound that enthusiastic about it. You sound like you were looking to try to find a way to prove your point.
For me,
that's my point. It sounds boring as hell.
For me, it's like, would I be watching if the Thunder were there? Yes, because I'd want to see Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and see how he was progressed, and try and look at what I think that he'll be like in the future. Would I be watching? So who's another bottom dweller? The Knicks. Yeah, I'd want to watch R.J. Barrett. Now, if one of those guys said, "No, I'm not going to play," then yeah, I probably wouldn't watch. Who else is at the bottom of the list? The Kings. Like, go out there and see. Geez, we're out of form. De'Aaron Fox. You know,
De'Aaron Fox.
I think that every single team has a player that you could get excited about and that you could watch those games for.
Yeah, and watch them waste away their, some of their regular year or their early years with all of that. But you'd have the Hornets, the Bulls, the Knicks, the Pistons, the Hawks, and the Cavs. And I just, like I said, man, it's one of those things where I don't think that. It's exactly the same thing that we talked about with the Rising All-Star game, the Rising Stars game before the All-Star game. It's just not something that I'm that interested in until they've really kind of developed and proven themselves, because I've seen so many guys bust out of this league. And it's just like, at least in the main tournament, if you're going to the bubble in Orlando, you have that weird kind of thing where your team could potentially make a run, and who knows what could happen. And like, maybe the Cavs just make some sweeping run of the thing. Who the hell knows? That would never happen, by the way. But like, you never know. Just send those guys to the same goddamn place. I don't understand what the difference is in that case.
Yeah, I guess I would want to quarantine the teams that have a chance as much as possible, even if that means keeping them away from other people. So I can see that.
It's got to be what they're thinking, right?
Yeah, I think that you got to think about the Warriors too. Like, are Steph and Clay going to come back in and and win this tournament whenever they weren't even going to make the playoffs, and then get a number one, or when they were set to get a number one draft pick? I don't think you can really do much of that, right? You have to hold off on that. I don't know. Do you think that decisions were changed because of where the Warriors are at? Like, we know that Oladipo just said that he was sitting out, which really, I think if we were in a normal situation, Oladipo would be saying, yeah, I'm ready to come back. But we're not in a normal situation, so he's saying, I'm going to sit this one out because I'm not quite healed. Do you think that are you buying any of that, or do you think it's more of a he's trying to sit out this because he doesn't think the Pacers have any chance, and also we're in such a weird situation?
What are the implications on like draft order and all that kind of stuff? Is that stuff already set or what?
Dude,
because that like for me that would make a difference of whether I'm going to play Clay and Steph versus. I mean, they committed to the tank this year. Golden State did.
Well,
you know what I'm saying.
Pseudo.
So like, do what?
Pseudo, yeah.
I mean, they did. Like, I mean, that team was terrible by all intents and purposes because two of their stars were sidelined.
Yeah, and they didn't really have much of a choice. Like,
right. But I mean, if you're, I don't know, man. I don't know if you really take that risk of. Like you're not going to get all the way to the top by any means. I don't think.
No, well, I mean, if Clay and Steph both come back and they're in true form, they got as good a chances to me as anybody in the 4 to 8 range.
Wouldn't that be great though?
No, it would be horrible.
I'd be so angry. Because it's the third time that they're not going to be running for another ring here is this year because of injury, really.
Yeah, and I'm much less offended by that team than I am the team with KD on it. I like Clay a lot. If Clay playing for any other team, dude, I would have his jersey for sure. But I like Clay's one of my favorite players in the league. I think he's hilarious. And also, dude, he scored 39 points in a quarter and he dropped like 40 on like 6 dribbles or something like that. Like that guy is the most unique player that we've ever seen.
Didn't he only dribble? Yeah, like what was his dribble rates were insane. They were like non-existent for so long.
He's just a catch and shoot, and he's one of the best movers without the ball of all time.
Yeah, he really is. It's incredible. And he's like pretty much fully healthy, I've heard.
Really?
Yeah. Like, I mean, I still don't think that they would have any reason to put him out there in any way, shape, or form. I wouldn't. I would never consider that.
Yeah. Dropped 60 points in 3 quarters using 11 dribbles. That's insane, dude.
That's absurd. 11 dribbles. I also want to know how you count the dribbles.
They have an advanced analytics. Like, they have cameras now that track players' movement. They can, if you go to NBA.com, you can see the speed at which everybody moves, and you can see the slowest players in the league, like who moves the average slowest pace in the league. And surprisingly, like LeBron is one of them.
Well, we're pulling that up right now, pal.
Dude, it's super cool. Super cool. It's kind of hard to get to, so I don't know how easy it'd be for you to get to it, but it's really cool.
Okay. So LeBron would be in that category. That's surprising to me.
He's one of the slowest players in the league all around because he conserves so much energy. Mostly because, like, you saw the video last year where some dude got a 3-point shot and then LeBron just stood there and let him shoot the 3.
Oh yeah.
And then kind of like raised his hands up in the air, and everybody kind of said he's dogging on his teammates, but I can't even remember what guy it was, but it turned out that he was a less than 30% 3-point shooter, and LeBron knew that, so he was going to let him shoot that 3, right? So like LeBron does a lot of that where he like knows where everybody is on the court and knows the percentages from every position. So if you're less than 30% shooter, he's going to stand there, and that's counting as 0, so that's lowering his overall speed.
Right. No, and that's true and that's why like those kinds of things aren't even close to like accurate, because you're really looking at such a weird sample size of different, like you're looking at an overall sample size and it's not necessarily reflective of who the player is. Like some of the best players of all time, including Jordan, just took their time whenever they needed to take their time.
Right, exactly. Like,
conservative.
Okay, I found it.
Yeah. Oh, you found it. Okay. So I can share your screen. So share your screen and I'll put it up for everybody.
Oh, dude, I don't even know how to share my screen, honestly.
Do it in the StreamYard window. You can hit
share screen.
Yeah.
Sharing it.
Cool.
All right. So hold up.
Hide your naked lady background.
Oh, definitely. For our listeners.
Yes.
All right.
Naked man background. I don't know.
All right. So this is your average speed. Look at that. James Harden's average speed is 3.52, which is the 4th lowest in the league.
awesome.
Dude, that is so funny. He's slower average than Marc Gasol and Carmelo Anthony. There's Anthony Davis is top 10. LeBron, yeah, there's LeBron at like 13. Chris Paul is really low. Dude, a lot of these guys, dude, the superstars are just all stacked up here. There's Joel Embiid, which you'd expect that because he's a big, but LeBron and Chris Paul,
wait a minute,
I wouldn't expect that of Chris Paul.
Is this, how is this sorted? I can't
by average speed right there.
And that's, I'm having a little bit of a hard time making out the numbers. Is it lowest to highest or the other way around?
Yeah, lowest to highest.
Okay.
So the lowest apparently is JP Makura, who has logged 0.6 minutes.
Hell yeah, dude. Let's go. What?
So he just stood there. He didn't move at all.
Well, how much money do you think he makes?
Dude, I don't know. I've never even heard of that name before. That he's on Cleveland, probably G League in Cleveland.
Yeah. Yeah.
Distance
Marc
miles
Gasol jumps up there pretty fast.
Do what?
But Marc Gasol jumps up there pretty damn fast.
Yeah, dude. Marc Gasol's that's the highest, but Marc Gasol's pretty high. He's the 6th slowest person in the league.
Okay.
James Harden's the 4th. Carmelo's the 7th. DeAndre Jordan is the 8th. Blake Griffin's 10th. Taco Fall's 9th. Eric Gordon's there. It's always surprising to me to see like the superstars are all right here at the top.
Yeah, I guess it's the league comes to them as well. You know, that's a big part of it also.
Yeah, and I wonder where Kawhi is, honestly.
That's a good question. He doesn't work too terribly quick.
No, dude, he's really enigmatic in that whenever he's moving around the court, he doesn't look like he's just like full out any given time, you know. There's Russ. Russ is high as well, which is surprising.
Interesting. He's efficient though.
Yeah. I guess that makes sense as far as Russ is standing around a lot on the that Houston team. But
an interesting look.
Yeah, Russ is slower on average than Boban Marjanovic. That's shocking. Like, you would never guess that. Slower on average than Dwight Howard. You would never guess that. Ben Simmons is higher than I would have thought, and so is Luka. Luka and Ben Simmons are right there at 4 flat.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I wonder. Yeah, I'd be really interested to know like how all that works. But once again, I don't think people care about that too much.
No, dude, I care too much about this stuff.
Me too, dude. All right, I'm gonna pull it down. But anyway, so I think what you were saying before though, when it comes to like play with all this stuff, like I think it really comes down to what team stays the healthiest. And I'm trying to think of like what that looks like from an overall league standpoint. And like, I mean, just with having teams and hot spots and all that stuff, I don't know. It seems like that's the only way you could gauge this, and that's a really dangerous gamble.
Yeah, I think so. I think I'm kind of in the middle of this is either going to have an asterisk on it or it's going to be the hardest of all time, and it's all going to depend on how it plays out. If all of the players are healthy, no asterisk whatsoever, but also not the hardest of all time, right? If
I don't know though, dude, like that's a pretty significant setback for a team, any team.
If everyone's healthy, what do you mean?
Like, regardless, like you paused in the middle of a season and then picked it back up and went and won a ring like that. There's going to be a fair amount of gutting it through those playoffs because not everybody's in that kind of health. Like in that kind of shape is more of what I mean. Basketball shape.
That's true, dude. I was surprised did you see Zion looked like he was in shape?
Did he look like he was in shape? He's lost like 30 pounds of baby fat.
Yeah, I was relatively surprised, honestly.
I mean, that obviously, I mean, we've been saying that he needs to lose that for quite some time.
Yeah, and it's not like I don't believe this guy has a great work ethic, right? To be that good at anything, you have to have a great work ethic. But the dude worked out for a week and put on 10 pounds of muscle. Like, he's naturally an endomorphic, mesomorphic guy that just gains weight like easily, right? So I was really afraid that. Yeah, there's a picture of him.
Look at that. Looks like a tank.
Yeah, he's a monster. That dude's 18 years old. That always makes me feel like horrible about myself.
Yeah, dude, let's not get into that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I thought that just not being around trainers. Maybe he was around trainers the entire time, but I thought that it would, being a rookie that just came out of college, I thought he would put on some weight and be not in shape. Jokic apparently lost a lot of weight.
He looks terrible. Let me see if I can find that photo.
He looks terrible and like he just looks emaciated.
Yeah, dude, it didn't look great. Hold on, let me find that picture.
He looks like Kristaps Porzingis.
Do what?
He looks like Kristaps. Also, his head looks way too big for his body.
Are you
Now,
talking just in general?
no, with the weight loss.
Oh yeah. Do you have it right there?
Yeah,
You can throw it up on the screen if you want.
yeah.
Oh yeah, here it is. I found it too. Here, I'll share mine. Look at that. That's insane. He's lost a lot of upper body mass.
But yeah, dude, that's like 30 to 40 pounds right there, right?
Yeah, it's not great.
Yeah.
Not great at all.
But dude, he played 52 minutes being fat. That
True.
like, and really, like, it's not like his game is predicated upon being able to bully people. Well, it kind of is whenever he's in the post, but his game is more than anything is being able to pass the ball and knock down threes, and then also, hey, he has really good post moves.
That's true.
You generally don't go wrong by losing weight on the basketball court.
Okay.
You're
That's
generally
true.
more athletic and can move around. It's not like football where your job is to wrestle somebody to the ground, you know?
I gotta pause this for a second. All right, bringing us back up. Yeah, I mean, the upper body strength definitely matters, and you can see where like losing that for someone that's as dominant in the paint as he is, it's going to be a problem. And like those are just things that nobody seems to be taking into consideration once again.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm more of a. It's generally best to lose weight in basketball because you're gonna be able to move better. But yeah, a lot of his game is about banging down there and just overpowering people just because he weighs 40 pounds more than him. I wonder how much do you have a listing for what his weight is? I'm sure it's greatly exaggerated on the lower side.
I'm looking right now to see if it was out there because I doubt that was something that was actually put out there.
Yeah,
You know
he was listed at 284. I would bet that he was around 300. Although 284 seems
284 right now.
No, that was what was listed coming into this year.
Right. So I mean, he is significantly less than that. 240 probably.
Yeah, something like that.
I mean, that's insane. So I mean, those things are going to have severe impacts on all of this, you know. And I can't. I just there's only so much you can do to like get past that kind of thing, and it's kind of insurmountable in that way. So once again, then it comes down to like actual playing basketball shape. Like aside from the virus and all that, like the actual playing shape is a whole nother thing. And that's something that can't necessarily be replicated, especially a lot of these guys who've actually lost weight that they were trying to keep on intentionally or whatever, depending on the guy.
Yeah, like who'd you think of that?
Well, Jokic is the first one, but I mean, even James Harden has lost a little bit of size, and I mean that's just some of the guys we've seen.
I don't trust Harden to come in shape.
Really,
We also talked about last last show, I think that Houston's offense really lends itself well to be able to take a lot of time off and then coming back, because really it's just James Harden. But they did come out and say that they want a lot less ISOs to Harden. Maybe they want to give more ISOs to Russ. I don't know.
Maybe. I don't know. It's a good question. I even forget about him playing there half the time.
Yeah, I think he's underutilized. I mean, what ends up happening, like we saw it in that teams were trapping Harden way up at the top of the court and making him get rid of it. They need to do a better job of having Russ run to the ball and then getting that off the double team and just get going and getting an immediate 4-on-3, right? And Russ is one of the best passers in the league, if not the best passer in the league. And he'll score on a 4-on-3 every single time, especially when he's running downhill. That's what needs to happen. They have him there to make people pay for trapping Harden at the top of the key.
It's true.
Top of the court.
It's true, which doesn't take a whole lot of like complicated play to really figure out. So
yeah, I don't know what D'Antoni's doing, but he's got a lot better offensive basketball mind than me. So
I'm already looking forward to hearing the D'Antoni's in the last year of his job talk whenever we get to the bubble. It's happens every single year for him in some way, shape, or form with him, and it's coming. I'm telling you,
dude. They went all in on his play style too. I can't imagine if he gets fired, dude. The Rockets are that's the end of the next 10 years because they don't have a big.
Right. Well, I mean, they didn't re-up his contract last year. He's a lame duck coach.
Yeah.
So I mean, they obviously wanted to wait and see, which really kind of benefited them in a way, especially if the season just ends.
Yeah.
Because they can just. I mean, so like in your opinion, do you think that they would re-up D'Antoni and just chalk it up to it not working because of the virus thing and try to get it again next year, or do you look at moving on? I mean, he's been there a while and it hasn't really done much.
As great as Morey is, I want to say that he doesn't have a plan, but I think he does. I think that he is conflicted because he doesn't. On some level, he really likes what D'Antoni is doing with analytics, but on some level, I think he probably thinks that D'Antoni can't get it done. Like for him to not resign and then come back and say, okay, we're going all in. As a matter of fact, we're going to let you convince us to get rid of your big so that you can bring in some more shooters for your system. Like that's weird. It's like doing one thing and then doing the polar opposite of what you had originally planned on. So they gave D'Antoni everything that he wants. Maybe it's as simple as we're going to give him absolutely everything he wants, and if he can't do it, we'll get rid of him. Then we know that it wasn't our fault. Maybe it's that. But they've not acted in a congruent manner at all.
No, that's what I think it is. I think that they're very much looking to pin that on him and move on from it when maybe it's that they have, a modern day Karl Malone there,
right.
and it's maybe not been assembled the way that it should have without, I don't know, like I just look at the trends of the greatness of someone like Giannis or soon to be, I guess, but someone like LeBron, someone like D Wade, like some of these guys that have had really transcendent careers, that have won titles, that have, been part of teams that have won titles, and they all find a way to contribute more in different ways when they need to. Pippen made a whole career out of that. Yeah. And despite the fact that he could have been an absolute megastar elsewhere, but he decided that this is the best way that he could contribute. That's not a quality I've ever seen from James Harden.
No, really, he's really only an ISO guy that can run an offense. Like he immediately makes your offense way better, but I've more so been and he plays really good post defense. He's great in the post on defense. But I've said this since the beginning of the Harden era in Houston. Actually about 2 to 3 years after, whenever he started breaking out to be a superstar. You can't have your number one guy not buying on defense. You just cannot happen.
Right.
Because what leaders do in moderation, followers will do in excess. And people like that guy. It's not like he's some great player out there that's not the leader of that team. They like him, so they look to him. You can't. If he's not buying in on defense, the rest of the team isn't going to buy in on defense. Like PJ Tucker is a fantastic defender, but to have your superstar be such a liability where they're hiding him and then pull in another superstar who is also a liability on defense solely because he wants to be, like Russ has all the talent in the world to be great on defense, but he doesn't do it because he wants to save it for offense. it's not good. You can't outscore people in today's league because the greatest teams can score at will. The Lakers can score at will. The Warriors for the past 4 years can score at will. The Clippers can score at will. Everybody can score at will. You have to be able to shut somebody down and get a stop. And the Rockets just can't do that.
They've never been able to do that. And that's what it comes down to, is like, it's a combination of both of those things. And that seems so like trite and kind of like antiquated, like duh. Like, obviously that's the case. But like at the same time, like they haven't really seen that that's the case. They would just rather go out there, play ISO ball and shoot the lights out. And while that works a lot of times against teams that don't have great defenses, it doesn't work against teams that can move the ball like Golden State and, even Cleveland to an extent. When LeBron was there, they could move the ball really well and they could put the ball in the right hands at the right time. And it's not all up to one person. And that was the whole thing with Steph after, losing to LeBron, is that they needed to go out and get KD, and like that was the whole thing. And it's never, to me, like whenever I've looked at it, they've never been crafted for success in today's league. Maybe 10, 15 years ago. But even then, I don't know. Like if you're not really willing to have your, like you were saying, like if you're not willing to have your star really bought in to play defense, like honest defense, then what are we looking at here? Like LeBron has at least sold people on the idea that he's willing to play defense when it matters, which he is. There's nothing that tells me that he's not.
He's a fantastic defender, but he's just not flying around like he used to, and around the perimeter like he did in Miami.
Sure.
It's a different kind of defense, but it's heady defense, and it's still like there were multiple possessions this year where he would guard a Harden or guard one of these big name players, and he'd shut him down. Like he can still guard people whenever he has to face up. He plays more of a free safety role now. But the thing that also bothers me about Harden offensively is Harden is quite possibly the greatest offensive player since Jordan, maybe even since Wilt. His numbers would say since Wilt. But if you look at the history of winning in the NBA, great players or teams that win multiple different championships have people that have large amounts of gravity, regardless of whether they have the ball or not. Harden doesn't have a whole lot of gravity when he doesn't have the ball. What gravity means, I'll define it again, is being able to move around on the court and make the different defense shift to you. Like LeBron and Steph Curry don't have to have the ball in their hands to be able to make the defense shift and open up stuff for other people. If you watch LeBron, watch him play whenever he's on the offensive end and Anthony Davis has the ball, somebody else has the ball, he'll step to one area and make the defense shift so that other person has more of an open driver. He'll see stuff multiple steps in advance and move it around and move himself around and make the defense shift. Harden doesn't do that. Russ doesn't do that. Nobody on that team has the IQ to be able to do that, the basketball IQ to be able to do that. And so what you end up having is, if the ball's not in Harden's hands, he's a negative on the court because he's not a good defender. He's not a good off the ball player. He's a negative on the court if the ball isn't in his hands. And Russ honestly is a negative on the court if the ball isn't in his hands as well. So at any given time, you have one negative on the court whenever those two guys are playing together.
That's true. It's very true. And like those things matter. So in the Rockets case, say they fired D'Antoni. I mean, so like the only way you fire D'Antoni is if you're looking to change up the system. And to your point, like they don't have a whole lot. They don't have a true big. And I don't really know where you go from there.
They don't have any piece. They don't have any value on that team.
Yeah.
Russ is way overpaid. Harden's a super max player. Let's look at their payroll right now. I think that the only person that they have Eric Gordon for $14 million. There's a little bit of value there, but he has a no trade clause, so you can't trade him. Robert Covington,
unless you can talk him into the right situation.
Yeah, I guess you could convince him of that, but it's just not. They don't have any value on that team. Capella was really the last person that had value. I think they also have Austin. Hold on a second before I make a fool of myself. I'm actually going to look at this. Yeah.
I forget. I feel like he's bounced around so many times now.
Okay, excuse me. Austin Rivers actually has a no trade clause. Eric Gordon does not.
Okay.
So that was my mistake. And then they've got Robert Covington at $12 million. He's like, that's not a horrible contract, but it's hard to get anybody else to do it. You can trade him now because, and this is all for next year, how they could blow up this team. But Russ is at 4 years of $38 million, dude. Like you're not gonna get a trade for that. Harden's at 4 years, $38 million as well. You could get trades for that. But prior to OKC blowing up Paul George, the rule was you never trade $1 for 4 quarters. Like it's really hard to come away from trading away a superstar and get value for it.
Well, you're not.
As a matter of fact, you what?
I mean, yeah, you're not getting value for it. You're calling it at that point.
Yeah, you're rebuilding exactly. And the thing is, can you set yourself up to be as good in 5 years as you were with a superstar? That's, for me, trades should have a 5-year timeline on them.
Mm-hmm. No, I'm with you. I'm just trying to think of like a time where trading a superstar for a bunch of non-super, like the prospects of superstars has really, really worked out. And I mean, it's very, very few cases. I mean, we'll see how OKC works out, I guess.
Yeah, and then also the Pelicans are the two from last year, but that's because teams were so superstar hungry because the NBA has turned into an arms race that they traded away a lot more than historically they would have traded for something. What LA end up trading? Lonzo Ball, Brandon Ingram, who looks like he will be a perennial all-star. Lonzo Ball, who I still think is, dude, he shot better from the 3-point line than like Zach LaVine. Like there's big names out there. He's shooting better from the 3-point line than this year. I still think he's going to be really good, and I still really like him a lot. Brandon Ingram, Josh Hart as well, and then a bunch of picks. Like that's a load, dude. The Pelicans got a lot of stuff.
I still think Anthony Davis is probably worth more than all of that because those are all
probably true.
Those are all prospect things. Like that's the craziest part about it.
Yeah, and really, Anthony Davis is going to go down as one of the best bigs of all time, but he's not a traditional big. He's going to go down as the best power forward of all, or one of the second best power forward of all time.
I'll see.
I think I'm there.
No,
because really,
I need way more longevity than that.
It's Tim Duncan, right? And then Dirk or KG. KG is the next tier. Tim Duncan's a tier, but Karl Malone. I'm sorry. Tim Duncan, Dirk, KG, Karl Malone are all in the next tier for me. Anthony Davis is easily in that tier for me.
I'm not there with longevity yet.
Yeah, I guess skill-wise, then let's do this. Skill-wise, he's easily in that tier for me because he's a better KG.
Yeah,
he has the same defensive ranginess. He has the same shot blocking capabilities. He has the ability to put the ball on the court that KG never really had. He has a better shot than KG ever did. He's a better lob catcher than KG was. I'm going to say that he's a better KG. So now it boils it down to, would you rather have Dirk's skill set or Anthony Davis' skill set? For me, I would rather have Anthony Davis or KG. Like if you gave me prime KG or prime Dirk, I would take prime KG. Not to say that Dirk did not have a better career, but it's prime really KG for me was better than Dirk. Prime Dirk.
If Dirk wasn't trapped in the shithole of the Mavericks for so long, it's really hard to project what his career could have been like elsewhere.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what Anthony Davis was lucky to get out of, because that's been the whole thing since that trade happened. And even before was that LeBron's not going to be there forever, but this sets up the next generation of the Lakers dynasty. That was always the plan.
Right. As long as you can get AD to resign.
He will. He'll resign.
Yeah. I think so.
Dude. I don't think that there's any way they would have made that trade without absolutely knowing that. And where's he going to run out to the fucking Magic? Like, I don't know. Like,
yeah, I have no idea. I would have to relook at the salary caps and everything.
No, that's more in jest than anything else. But I mean, I don't think there's a more ideal situation if you're Anthony Davis than the Lakers. You play with the last few years of LeBron. You maybe hopefully stack a ring or so with him still there, and then you usher in the next generation, and you're getting to your prime. I mean,
dude, he's not even in his prime yet. That's what's crazy. Dude's 25, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
God.
like he had a significant amount of time off for injury. So like that's my point. Like they wouldn't have made that trade without having that absolute as much guarantee as you could possibly have in that scenario.
Yeah, actually, it looks like he's 27, so he's got about 2 years, and then it'll be prime. Entering his prime, maybe next year. 28 to 31 is generally prime.
That's pretty crazy, man.
Yeah,
God, I don't want to hear about that for the next 20 years, but I'm going to, aren't I?
Dude, it's hard because as a Boston fan, like your rivalry is the team that can attract a superstar, regardless of what year it is.
Oh no,
it's money.
Always the Lakers. It's always the Lakers. Yeah. I'll tell you that much. The last decade of inept Lakers basketball has been some of the best of my basketball watching years to see. Has just been them being absolutely terrible.
That's the biggest failing in all of sports. Like for you to not be able to attract superstars to the Lakers, that's horrible.
It's pretty bad.
Yeah,
it got real bad there for a little while, and the the twilight years of Kobe and everything were tougher on that organization than people like to give that credit for. But
yeah,
anyway,
I still think they owed him.
Yeah, it's true. Well, I think we'll go ahead and wrap up. Kyle did not join us. He texted us like halfway through the show, didn't realize we had started, and I guess ate his own laptop or something. I don't know, but he'll be back, I hope, next week with us. We'll be out with you guys a little bit more consistent going forward. It's been a little bit slow lately. Just we've had a lot going on, but I think we'll go back to recording on Thursdays, dropping on Fridays for those they're paying attention. So we'll be out there. Anything else, man?
That's it.
All right, Bob. We'll see you later.
See you, man.